And I'm Becca. Thanks so much for tuning into Earth Networks so we can get you an update on Harvey. So, as of right now, it has been downgraded to a tropical storm. The winds are sitting there at 70 miles an hour, still very strong winds. And actually last night is when it made landfall in San Jose Island, Texas, as a major Category 4 hurricane. The first Category 4 hurricane to hit since 2003, which was Hurricane Charlie. And the first major hurricane to hit Texas is Hurricane Ike in 2008. And right now we are going to talk to you about a little bit of what's going on with the rain, any tornadoes that are popping up, and any of the current warnings that you should probably be aware of.
All right, so if we go over to here to our product, Spheric Maps, Earth Networks product, you can see the current position of Harvey. So right now it's right about here, and you can see that it started just before landfall. Actually, it upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane, and it just blasted right in onto the Gulf Coast of Texas, and it moved inland a little bit this morning, and as of now it's further inland, and it's expected to actually just hang out over southern Texas, pretty much right where it is through the rest of the weekend and maybe even early next week. And that is because there are two areas of high pressure that are blocking the movement of Harvey. So while those on the East Coast and those on the West Coast are enjoying nice, pleasant weather, southern Texas is getting catastrophic flooding as a result. So Harvey is going to hang out right here through the weekend, and then it might actually loop back around before tracking northward through mid-next week. And it's expected to become a tropical depression, but you have to also remember that these storm classifications are just based off of wind speeds. So right now the winds are dying down, but we're going to get catastrophic flooding in southern Texas. And actually some people might get or exceed their yearly average rainfall. So if you look over here, this is one of our graphics, and you can see that there's just a bullseye of expected precipitation between Austin, San Antonio, and Houston. And these places might actually get more than 3 feet of rain by Thursday of next week, Wednesday or Thursday of next week.
And the usual average for the year is around 30 inches in this area, so they're getting everything for the year all at once.
So just imagine torrential rain for 4 or 5 days straight. That will cause some serious problems. There will be flooded roadways, people's homes will get flooded, and again, I need to stress that even though people are saying that it has been downgraded and it's weakening, there's still that torrential rainfall threat, which is life-threatening. So and it could also spread rain into Louisiana, and these are low-lying areas. These are only a few feet above sea level, so that makes them even more vulnerable to flooding. And of course, we will also have some gusty winds over the next couple of days, but right now we're really, really focused on rain and flooding. So another thing is that there will be a threat for tornadoes. There's actually a tornado watch through 2 a.m. Sunday morning, Central Time. And right here's the watch. It includes the Houston metro area. And you can see our Earth Networks total lightning. By the way, it is the largest lightning network in the world. You can see a lot of thunderstorms and lightning, and so there is a threat for tornadoes all day today and through late this evening and early Sunday. And then we stay off the roads. Inland flooding, we can't stress enough, just be weather aware, stay off the roads.
Yeah, stay off the flooded roadways. It's going to be an awful situation if they get caught into a flooded
serious
roadway.
situation. Yeah.
And with Harvey, on Thursday, the governor of Texas did declare a state of disaster for 30 counties in Texas. As a result of Harvey, unfortunately, the mayor of Port Aransas did declare 8 deaths for people who did not evacuate the area. Unfortunately, that might not be the only ones we do see, because this flooding is going to cause a lot of damage to those areas. Anyone who did stay is unfortunately going to see that. And with all of the flooding and the possible injuries from all of this, the local jail in Rockport, Texas, which was just west of where the eye went over.
It was right around here.
the local jail did open up as a hospital for anyone who did have any injuries, anything going on with that.
Yes. And at this time, if you did not evacuate, it's probably, unfortunately, too late to evacuate because there's all kinds of debris on the road from the wind, and then flooding will...
It'll continue.
Yeah, it'll block. Yeah, it'll block roads. The flooding could also shift the debris, which would make it extremely dangerous to travel.
And unfortunately, you could see a few critters come through.
Yes.
Snakes, any alligators coming through the area, and you don't want to be out there in that. Even with standing water, bacteria is a big problem with that too. So please do not go out into the water. Don't want
It's not worth it.
No.
So how can we help?
Yeah. So we are looking at the Red Cross is actually taking both blood donations, obviously, and then they do have money donations that they're asking for. As far as any materialistic donations that you could give diapers, clothing, any non-perishable food items, canned food, anything like that, boxed, that's going to last you a very long time. And anything you can give to the people that have been affected by this. Even people that have evacuated and cannot go home right now do need a place to stay. So if you can, give them a home for a little while, because this is going to go on for a few days. They're not going to have a place to go back to for a while.
Even when they're allowed to go back, they might not be able to actually return to their homes because of the damage. So and
unfortunately, for anyone who is looking to go back, you might want to wait a little while as the flooding's just going to get a lot worse as the rain is going to continue again for days and days and days. We can't stress that enough, just because this is going to be a very, very long process as Harvey kind of goes through southern Texas.
Yes, and then we just figured we would go through some flood safety tips. These are important things to remember anywhere, even if you're not being impacted by a tropical system. So first of all, stay off the roads. We cannot stress this enough. Stay off the roads. Not only will that allow emergency crews and necessary people to get where they need to be, but it could also threaten your life. So it only takes about 6 inches of moving water to knock a fully grown adult off of their feet, and a foot of rain water to sweep a regular sized car away, and then 18 to 24 inches of moving water to sweep away almost any vehicle. And we're talking more than 3 feet of rain in some spots. So that's extremely, extremely important to remember. So rule of thumb, turn around, don't drown. And then, as Becca said, don't return home until authorities tell you to.
Yes.
Because there is structural damage, and there's a reason why you were evacuated and why you are not allowed to return home.
And unfortunately, with how this situation is going, authorities may not be able to get out into the areas to assess the damage or anything like that to be able to tell you to come back. So please, please, please wait until they do tell you that, and they give you all clear on coming back.
And then there are just general health issues with the water itself. So you don't want to touch it. It could also be carrying an electrical current, because especially with this wind damage, wires are on the roads, so that's a safety issue too. And there might be diseases, animals, bacteria that's going through the water, so stay away from it. And if it touches your food, throw the food away. Boil tap water, because you never know, especially people that have been ordered to boil tap water, so it's safe to drink. And keep pets and children away from the water for the same reasons, just to protect them. And then don't touch any electrical appliances or gas appliances in case they're wet, especially if there might be a gas leak with gas appliances, because if you ignite that flame, you're going to have other problems on top of the flooding. So again, stay away from the roads and communicate with loved ones if you can. I know a lot of places don't have cell phone service at the moment, so try to stay in contact if you can, and then take a picture of damages once it's safe to do so you can submit them to insurance if you're covered. So,
well, we are going to move into some questions that we are getting in, and one of them is, why are we seeing the tornadoes that we're seeing, especially on the eastern side of the storm?
Okay, so as you can see on this satellite image, GOES 16 satellite image, non-operational, you can see that the tail of this storm is drawing in moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. So that is destabilizing the air, and the hurricanes, they provide enough, as meteorologists call wind shear, which is basically the turning of the wind with height. that is a key ingredient with the formation of tornadoes. So they typically form in the upper right, the northeastern quadrant of the storm. So that's why we have this tornado watch, and why there are actually a bunch of tornado reports that have been issued or reported over the last few hours. So,
and that's on top of flooding.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
wind, you're getting tornadoes as well. So it's an interesting situation.
Yes, it's a cocktail of hazards.
Yes.
Yes. And then I have a question for you, Becca. So, why will there be so much rain? We talked about why the storm won't move, but why won't the storm just die out as it's sitting there?
Yeah, so not only is it just sitting there because of those 2 high pressures, just not letting it budge, sitting down in the Gulf of Mexico is really, really, really warm water. It's like bath water right now. And that is the key ingredient for a tropical system to keep its gumption, actually. So if it's drawing in all that moisture, which you can see on the satellite image because of that counterclockwise turn, it is drawing all this moisture in from the Gulf of Mexico. So with that being said, we have really warm water out here just waiting for it to draw in. So it's just going to constantly bring in all this moisture right here, drop it right on southern Texas, and unfortunately cause all the flooding and all of the damage that we are seeing.
And also, since it's so close to the coast, I think this is also, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is, even though it's sitting on top of land, and land typically weakens storms, which Harvey has weakened wind-wise, but it's still close enough to water where it can draw in that moisture source.
Yes, and that's why it's going to keep doing that for the next few days. And unfortunately, with what we're seeing with data coming in, if we do see this storm begin to track back out into the Gulf, it's just going to ramp up even more because that warm water is still there, giving it more energy. It's the food for the storm, if you will. So, if you have any other questions, please leave comments in under the video right in Facebook. But we do thank you for tuning in, and we'll have more updates on Harvey as they come in.